morning and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here once again with my co-host Liam McNeil, the man that decides to crack his neck quite audibly before every pod. Now, you don't get to see this because it does it through the intros, but I can hear it, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
See, now, Joust, what you guys don't know is that you idiots are all paying for a chiropractor. I am my own chiropractor.
Yeah.
It saves me so much money, you guys wouldn't believe it. It's amazing.
You just do that, and the neck makes it...
No, it doesn't work on camera, sorry, Joust.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It only
doesn't
works,
translate.
It only works to frighten me. It's just a sound that you can't ignore. Your eyes go to it, and you think, "What's wrong with that man?" Of course, he does it to me every week. Speaking about every week, it's been 4 weeks of winning, Liam. We can't stop winning. Remember when we lost every game and then we win one and it'd be hooray! 4 wins in a row, incredible stuff.
I don't know what to feel. I'm tentative. I'm worried. I'm nervous. I got a new hat, so that's nice. But besides that, Nagy,
it's a snake.
I don't know how to feel. It is a snake.
It's a snake. Is it referencing anything in particular?
Just a nice hat.
Just a nice.
I like hats. You know I like hats, Joust. I try and wear a different hat every week, but this is one of my favourites now.
You do wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. Because I usually forget to cut my hair every couple of months. There was a time where I was getting like a once yearly haircut. I look like an idiot.
Wins, hats, all the things including. But before we jump into that, it's the time to talk about everything in rugby league. It's time for the news. There's also making news this week, but the first thing, especially not related, it is the Adam O'Brien saga, because it's gone on for weeks now. The saga, Liam, of Adam O'Brien's future in the club. And is it certain? It's come out there. They said it's now secured for 2024. Is that correct, Liam?
That is correct, I believe. Yes, let's make no bones about it that it is in fact correct. You heard it here first, Joust, except after all the other mainstream media have reported on it. Adam O'Brien will remain as Newcastle Knights coach. Now, Nagy, this is a very interesting one that we were discussing earlier, and just as you would remember, as you all did as a couple of months ago, as we did as well. We were questioning the future of Adam O'Brien.
A mere 1 month ago.
Yeah, that's it. 1 month, 4 weeks, calendar month. We were discussing who would replace him. We were so sad that Des got signed. Would it be Holbrook? Would it be Shane Flanagan? Would it be Michael Maguire? Who knew? Who knew? And I think, Nagy, this comes back to something I'd love to discuss with you. Is the psychological hold that the Nathan Brown tenure still has on the mind of a Newcastle Knights fan. Because, as you would remember, we were huge Brownie fans. We were on board right till the end, till the week where he unceremoniously quit.
Yes.
We were so pro-Brownie.
Did he quit? I thought he was pushed.
Well, I thought he was pushed, but then quit before he was pushed, before he was going to get... Anyway, either way, we were so on board with Brownie because we thought we had to be, that now that we have a coach who had, a couple of rough weeks, we thought, we have to punt him. Yes. Or we'll get browned again. We don't want to get browned again. I hate being browned.
Well, we're heading in a downward trajectory on the ladder, and we're 14th. And even though there's 17 teams there, so there's a little bit of cushion. There's a little bit of upping under the 14th position, but we're worried.
Did you say upping?
Upping, yeah.
A little bit of upping.
Yes. Yeah. It's more of a hand gesture. So we weren't at the bottom of the ladder, but we were in that bottom 4, and that's what everyone kept saying. Well, the Knights are bottom 4 again. And, of course, we finished bottom 4 last year, and they said, this is going to happen again. Oh, well, what's going to happen? The coach has to go. And of course, this is the same sort of feel that we had during the Nathan Brown tenure, which for him was really about making the finals. It was like, can he make the finals? And there was a few years there that he sort of got on the cusp of it.
He cusped so hard.
Took us from the doldrums of the bottom of the ladder, and then brought us up to that sort of happy 10th.
Remember, he got us off the bottom.
And then it became a thing of, Nathan Brown's not the man for the job. We must look. And of course, it was Phil Gardner, the man that sort of looks like a Disney villain, who came out and said...
Look at him looking at Adam O'Brien's shoulder there.
Yeah.
He's just in the background.
Yeah, he's just grunting. Granny, you see, it looks like
Adam, you got any more pokey licenses you could sell us?
We're gonna get shut down immediately for that. But he was there, and he said he had, what did he say? A spreadsheet? No, he had a
an
list.
Excel document, perhaps.
He had something. He misused a term and said, no, I've got a desktop full of options of coaches, and we thought this is a bit odd. But then, of course, Adam O'Brien was signed, and we had 2 years of making the finals consecutively. After a long absence from the finals.
Limping into those final series, to be fair, and knocked out unceremoniously in the first round each time.
And there was a lot of talk from the same media that's saying that there's no way that Adam O'Brien now could be sacked. We're saying that Adam O'Brien should be sacked and that they should be looking at someone like Justin Holbrook because they missed out on Des Hasler. Now, it's all of a sudden, there's no way we can sack him 4 weeks later. It's a long time in rugby league.
And the other thing that kind of harkens back to the hold that Nathan Brown had on us is I look back to the round 1 2020, and I looked at the 30-man squad now. As long as Brownie was at the Knights, the whole 4 years, it was a rebuild. He built his own narrative in the media. If you look back at it, he put himself as the rebuilding coach. He was going to rebuild, blah, 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 blah. And we've just seen Adam O'Brien as just tinkering, just blah, 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 tinkering away, fixing things here. Meanwhile, Adam O'Brien has gone through a quiet rebuild that he's not told anyone about.
Secret.
Because if you look back to the 30-man squad in 2020, the Knights of this day and age, this current Knights team only have 9 players.
It's a mere echo of the former team.
Or less than 1/3, in fact, for the mathematically inclined out there. Yeah. And I can read you the names. And the names are Ponga, Man, maybe on the way up, but we'll talk about that later. Safidi ×2, but that counts as one. Brayley injured. And then in the wider squad, you had backups like Phoenix Crossland, who has proved immeasurable success
Phoenix
so far this year.
Bomberland,
Phoenix Crossfield Bomberland. Anari Tuala, still very much a backup player. Bradman Best and the draft Brody Jones. And so I think what we don't know about is that Adam O'Brien has secretly gone through a bit of a rebuild, but because he hasn't been spruiking it so much, we've been taking the loss and saying, oh, this is bad. Whereas when Brownie was going through the rebuild, we were taking the losses and he was saying, no, this is good. I think Newcastle were the only fan base in world sports where our coach told us, you're going to lose a bunch. He even said that in a press conference. He said, look, we're going to lose some games.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. To be fair, he was not wrong. But only the Newcastle Knights fan base would have looked at that and said, oh, we're going to lose. We are going to lose. Of course. Sure, why not? We're going to lose. It's going to be great because it'll be better. And so the way Adam O'Brien seems to have gone about his tenure is that he's done similar things to what Brownie did, but he didn't say it.
No announcement. No 5-year plan, 7-year plan, Gus Gould style. It's merely something that they're just doing in the background. Slowly, we'll take this player away.
Tinkering. Maybe you would refer to it as a retool. Maybe you refer it as a rebuild. Either way, he's gone about his work somewhat covertly, and I think it's starting to pay dividends, to show results.
Hasn't been flashy. He hasn't pimped our ride. No. Remember that show where they just put monitors in cars that didn't work? Yeah. that was the whole basis of the show.
That's it, boy. I could use a new diff. Oh, hey, how about a 65-inch LED in the boot?
One of the episodes, they put an aquarium in this woman's car because she said she liked fish. It's a car. All those fish are dead.
The water sloshes around as you turn the corner. It's going to moisten your seats.
Yeah.
What a dumb idea. It was a great show,
Full of monitors.
Yeah. Which rap man was it? It was Exhibit.
Exhibit,
yeah. It was a great show. Great show. Pimp My Ride Newcastle. There you go. You heard it here
Pimp
first.
My Team, Adam O'Brien.
Yeah, it's a Datsun 180B. There's rust in the floor. You can see the road underneath it. Adam O'Brien is slowly fixing the rust. And you know what? He's fixing the windscreens. You know who fixed it?
Who?
Koala Glass.
Koala Glass. You can't go past Koala Glass.
You can't go past Koala Glass.
And they'll fix it fast. Absolutely no connection with that. Although I think we've got
we have the aquarium. There you go, in the armrest.
Yeah.
Brave decision to put the aquarium in the armrest.
Yeah. The whole thing filled with water.
Yeah.
It's a terrible idea from a show. But I
also know that there is no system to introduce oxygen into the water there.
Oh, the fish.
What's keeping these fish alive?
Nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing.
Speaking of things that are being kept alive, Fa'amanu Brown's career. He's been thrown a lifeline by the Knights.
Now, I think it's very Knightsy. It's very Newcastle. We do things our own way. We don't go down traditional
the
channels.
Wrong way.
It's an own approach. And, some teams go out there at the beginning of the year and they say, we have a 30-man roster and we're going to fill that roster with 30 men. Now, the Newcastle Knights decided not to do that and to fill
groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah, and wait till round 22, this very round, to fill their 30-man roster for the 2023 season, the very season which we're in. It's a very new approach to come into a 30-man roster with only 20-something players. But it's allowed us to sign this young fellow. I know nothing about him. I've heard from other people that he's a bit of a talented all-rounder,
a handy utility, if you will.
Handy utility.
The biggest thing for me is that I listen to other rugby league podcasts because I don't know much about rugby league, so I listen to what they say and I basically regurgitate that.
Yeah.
They reckon he's pretty good. I think he's a bit of a utility player coming into that number 14 role. He's been around for a long time, New Brown. I think he must be 26, 27. He's been around for a while.
He's around there, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see if we need him to come to the side before the end of the season.
Could be the death knell for Mr. Hurt Man because he plays a very similar role to Hurt Man, and Hurt's been noticeably absent a lot this year.
Interestingly enough, that's not the only signing that we've made with the sounding of the alarm, because Jack Cogger, the president of the
School for Unremarkable Boys.
School for Unremarkable Boys.
What do you mean?
Back.
Not the president, the principal.
The principal.
He's the principal of the school.
Yeah, of course. This was, if you remember back to the 2016 to 2018 time that he was playing with the Knights.
The bad times.
Didn't net a whole lot of wins.
Times.
I even remember someone even saying, Jack Cogger's playing this week. Shit. And that seemed to be...
Was that you?
Well, no, it was just other people. They had very little faith. But he was only 18 now. The bloke's only 25 or 26 years old now. It feels like he played for us a millennia ago.
Well, and the thing with him playing for Penrith recently, he's been playing really well. And I think that shows within a good side, within the context of a good rugby league team, Jack Cogger can be a good rugby league player.
Yeah.
And coming through the system, he was always the star half, in the juniors. He was always the big dick wheeling around the place.
Of course.
And so I think if you put him into a good system like the Knights apparently are now, which is really nice, he could do
4 weeks old,
Yeah, 4 weeks old.
It's a great system.
This 4-week dynasty. Yeah. I think it'd be safe to say. But I think maybe this...
He toured around the facilities, and Phil Gardner said, look at this. This is a whole new aquarium we've put in here. And there's 17 monitors up here. This is the Centre for Excellence.
I was like, we built the Hungry Jacks after you left. You want to stick around? Yeah, of course. There you go. So it's good to see Jack returning home. You always love to see a good return home story.
Hopefully it's going to net us some wins and
maybe, speaking of death knells, maybe the death knell of Adam Clune's time in the red and blue.
It might be. It very well could be. Now, the NRL, of course, is in locking horns with the Players Association. And the Players Association has decided to take the unprecedented move of covering up the NRL logo. A logo that I'd never really noticed was on the jersey in the first place.
Well, that was the beauty of when they rebranded the logo. It fits the jersey. In the past, it was this bright, big green nonsense. There
it is.
Look at that. Actually, this one kind of fits in well because it's on the red. But they amended the logo to suit the jerseys. Each team had it in their own colour. So you don't really notice it anyway. But now that they've covered up, it's a talking point.
They said, enough of looking at, don't look at the NRL. We don't work
Stop
for them.
looking at my breast.
Stop looking at the breast.
Please.
I have a breast injury and I need to cover it in tape.
But from that, the NRL have proposed the idea that they're going to cut funding to the RLPA. Now, if there's one thing you want to do when you're in a class action, is take away more from the people you want to take stuff away from.
Yeah.
That'll show them.
Strong arm.
Oh, that'll show them.
Strong arm the people that have, the 500 members that they basically participate in the game that produces the product.
Where are the strike busters? Where is the Eureka Stockade moment for the Newcastle Knights?
Yeah.
Well, the NRL, the entirety of the NRL. Yeah. Where is the Eureka Stockade where they're going to get together, they're going to build a little fort, they're all going to get guns, and they're going to shoot the NRL administration?
Devil's advocate, if they aired that on television, I'd watch. It would be an amazing thing to see.
It'd be a great ABC miniseries.
yeah. Like the Emu War.
David Wenham would play Clint Newton.
Except David Wenham's had a lot of, seems like he's had a lot of Botox or something now. He always had this sort of, I don't know, unusually classically handsome look, and now he's sort of just a bit like this. This gone to the days of the sweet old Diver Dan, and now it looks like and what did he play? Faramir in Lord of the Rings.
I know he was in 300, of course. He was the unreliable narrator in 300.
Yeah, you can see him there with Lee Sales. I think there he looks like he's lost all the.
If you were to suggest an ABC 4-episode miniseries about this current strike, this union action, who would you have to direct it if it were an Australian director?
Oh, it has to be Peter Weir, I think, yeah.
Oh, it'd have to be Peter Weir. Picnic at Hanging Rock.
He's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he is. Did Gallipoli, Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Yeah.
Dead Poets Society.
Of course, yeah.
Clint Newton's the Robin Williams, perhaps.
It's a great movie called Green Card as well that he directed as well. Yeah. It's just about the two people trying to get a green card. It was a simpler time back then when they were making films about, all sorts of...
You've really not stoked my excitement about watching that movie. Sorry,
it's not a great film, don't bother watching it.
But anyway, let's look at Clint Newton. He is, and we have spoken ill of Winston Churchill on this podcast
before. Of course,
before.
yeah, we're not Churchillians.
We are not Churchillians. We don't like the man. But he was a good wartime leader for Britain, and that was what they needed at the time. I think Newton is proving a bit of a Churchillian leader.
Yeah, do you think, like Churchill after the Second World War, do you reckon he's going to get the arse?
Oh, of course.
But then he might come back again as a much, much older man.
A much, much older man.
He
has his meetings in the bath naked. That's what Churchill did. Look it up. I'm not wrong.
We thought, and it was not Zoom. People were actually in the room with him. Yeah. You could probably get away with it these days as long as you're wearing, I don't know, a collared shirt. But then nothing else. George DeFil was sent off for biting just when we thought we had enough biting for 1 week with the first send-off.
There's never enough biting for 1 week. Never enough.
Where did this happen, Liam? Where did the George DeFil go?
England.
That's of
somewhere
course.
in England. It was the English Rugby League, so you can assume it was in one of 4 small mining towns because that's the only place in England they play rugby league.
Yeah.
4 small mining towns long. I think it's the M62. There's one particular highway. You know, they keep saying, "Oh, let's expand into London, the capital and biggest city in England." And Rugby League says, "No, we do not need the 15 million people in London liking rugby league.
No.
We need the 4 miners in the back arse of Manchester.
Yeah,
that's who we need.
And
Bradford,
Hull, and Leeds,
and the other Leeds team. There's 2 Leeds teams. There you go. You don't want to expand in the biggest city in the country. Let's have 2 teams in Leeds.
Leeds, yeah, of course. And it's so he wasn't going to be outdone by the women's game biting incident. Of course, biting. If one defence, I didn't mean to bite them, but in fact, I did bite them.
Which we come back to again. I think, Joust, as you'll remember from many years ago, the long-time listeners, the great man from Wanderers, Gavin Kemmel Lee. He got suspended for biting, and his defence of the judiciary is simple. If he puts his fingers in my mouth, I'm going to fucking bite him. And so I think that's what George would have to say if he went to the
judiciary. Yeah.
The jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You can't bite in jiu-jitsu. Sorry, Jousters. I'm sure George DeFil went to the judiciary and said, "Look, that man put one of his extremities near my teeth.
Yeah.
I could not help but to bite."
I had to bite down.
Had to bite down.
And good on him for doing it. We stand by you, George, for defending your mouth.
Now, this is a great story of defending. Cameron McInnes, ladies and gentlemen, 81 tackles. Now, we all know Cam McInnes for so long has been one of the roughest men in rugby league. Look at that face. That's a face not even a mother could love. They say a face only a mother could love. His mum kicked him out when she saw that photo.
Face. She said, "Leave, get out." And now
she was a particularly ugly woman too.
Oh, well,
Sorry, Mrs. McInnes.
On the law of averages, probably you're correct, Liam. But there's 81, cracking the 80 mark in a game that is only 80 minutes long. It's an incredible feat of pure athleticism, if you will,
and grit,
and grit. I remember years ago when someone would crack 60, and that was the record. You think, "Oh God!" And then another 20 tackles.
Or you remember Chris Randall, former Newcastle Knight, now Gold Coast Titans front rower. Which is weird. He's been playing in the front row. Really? 71 tackles he made in a game. I think the previous record was Lewis Brown when he was playing for the Warriors. He made 77.
Right. But cracking the 80. Huge.
Monstrous task.
Cameron McInnes.
Monstrous.
Makes up for his terrible looks. And he's got one tooth as well. It really.
Well, that's it. I showed my beautiful wife, Brittany, a picture of him. And she said, "Oh, my God, he's ugly." And I was like, "That's with the mouth guard in. You haven't even seen the half tooth he's missing."
Yeah, exactly. And also,
he's got the Lloyd Christmas tooth.
If we look back just at that post of The Hills Have Eyes.
Great movie, by the way.
But it looks like he has one breast. I don't know if it's just the shadows there, but it looks like he's got one breast.
And we here at the Joust do not advocate for that. A man should have two breasts.
2 breasts.
A man should have 2 breasts on his front. Speaking of 2 breasts.
Andrew Johns, the man with 2 breasts.
The greatest of all time the greatest player in rugby league history who had 2 breasts.
Yeah, of course. He's advocating on behalf of all the players. He said to the federal government, "Look, we should have a little bit of help here because all the players seem to be going down with, brain injuries, etc., and having these long, very tragic diagnoses."
Yeah.
And he said, "How are we going to fix this? Please give us medical marijuana."
Now, we all know from his time in the NRL that Joe was hitting the Hong Kongs regularly, and I think nothing has changed on that front. And look, I'm going to be honest, as a man who's had several concussions and also used to smoke an ounce of weed every couple of weeks, love it. I think it's a fantastic decision because there's nothing better when you've been concussed at footy, just going home, ripping a couple of billies, and, just doing what you want. So I think it's the ultimate recovery.
I think so too. I think, why not? Why not?
And again, as a bunch of concussions as I have, love some free medical weed.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Let's get the government to pay for it. Yeah. It's wonderful. Good on you,
That's
Joe.
it. Come on, Albo.
I love when people use their platforms for a good
cause. Yeah.
But Liam, it's very exciting, as we mentioned at the top of the show. It doesn't happen every week. It doesn't happen every 4 weeks, but 4 wins on the trot. Newcastle Knights. We do this every couple of seasons.
It does happen every week now. It's great.
Well,
It's
the
brilliant.
winning. Now, there was a lot of confidence going into this game of the Canberra Raiders. Unlike, we just beaten the Storm. We looked at the Raiders, and we've got a fairly good record against them.
But the Raiders always beat the Storm, so we were worried that we couldn't beat the Raiders, who always beat the Storm, because we beat the Storm, but they beat the Storm, and also they beat the Storm by more than we beat the Storm.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to follow. But to coming off, of course, the Storm, and we've beaten the Tigers and the Dogs. But they're more down the bottom of the and we managed to beat the top team, and then now we've got a middle-ish team that we had to beat.
Middle-ish. They were running fifth.
Yeah, well, but I think everyone thinks that.
I guess that's kind of middle-ish. Fifth is how many teams are there in the rugby league?
17. Yeah,
fifth is middle-ish, I guess.
Yeah, so it was a game that I thought potentially, we could go in overconfident and think, oh, this is going to be a game that we're going to win, and then we lose and we go, oh, that's what it feels like to lose again. But instead, 28-6, Liam, 4 tries to 1 with a couple of penalty goals. Kalen Ponga has found his way with the T again. Jeff Tuvey, Mark Tukey. The kicking coach
is back.
Taken him aside and said, just punt it over, mate. Your big toe does all the work.
Just knock the skin off the blood, Jatugi said. Now, I also like that this has been a bit of a theme over the last month, is that we've been beating teams with Newcastle cast-offs.
Yes.
We beat the Tigers. They had Stafford Toa and David Clemmer.
Yes.
Knights cast-offs.
Yeah.
We beat Melbourne, Josh King, Nick Meaney. Knights cast-offs.
Yeah.
And this week we beat...
the Canberra Raiders.
Tom Starling, Pasami Saulo, Knights cast-offs.
As well as Zach Wolford as well.
Also Zach Wolford, I forgot. My dad reminded me. He played reserve grade for the Knights. So as long as we keep playing teams who have taken the players who have shit canned,
yes,
we should keep winning.
Yeah, there's lots
and we'll look forward to that in the preview of the next game.
Liam, for every game we have our hats off for a player that we think has done particularly well. For my hats off this week, it was Dane Gagai. Now, I've been a little bit critical.
What a man!
I think he's had he's had some really great performances in his especially this year with the Newcastle Knights. I thought some of them you sort of think, Dane, is this the right thing? Should we be holding on to this man? Is he at the end of his career? Especially when Tyrone Peachey really had his number 4 weeks ago in Penrith. And then he comes out with this one, 240 run meters, 21 runs, 62 post contact, 2 line breaks, a line break assist, 2 try assists. He couldn't be stopped.
What a man. He has come back to Newcastle with a point to prove.
Yeah.
Remember, he was here in the doldrums, the bad days.
He was.
We were lower than the doldrums. We were lower than the doldrums, and Dane was still here busting his bum.
He was our best
player.
And
he comes back, and he comes back, and he says, you know what, I'm back.
Yeah.
He had a bad season last year, to be fair, but he said, you know what, I'm back. And he wants to prove his point to be back, and I love it. I love the resurgence of Origin Dane Gagai playing in his club side again.
Who'd you like, Liam? Who was your hats off for this week?
Oh, was the Pong Dog.
Pong Dog?
Pong Dog. Jason at the Hamilton Station. This one's for you, buddy. We're talking Pong Dog. Now, what I loved about last week's win over the Melbourne Storm is that for so long, since Kalen Ponga came to the Knights, every time we won, it was the Kalen Ponga show.
Absolutely.
The Pong Dog show.
Yeah.
Last week against Melbourne Storm, it wasn't the Kalen Ponga show, and we still won.
Yes.
But this week, it was the Kalen Ponga show.
We flipped the channel.
We flipped the channel. It's back to the Pong Dog show. Huge numbers. 203 running meters. 61 kick return meters. That's a very handsome number. Line break, 2 line break assists. Just scored that try. That was a beautiful try.
Yeah.
It was the Kalen Ponga show again, and I think it was good coaching from Adam O'Brien, because Canberra Raiders' edge defense, especially on their right edge, which is obviously our left edge attack, has been absolutely disgusting. I think it was second best in the league. And so Adam O'Brien, he said, KP.
Yeah.
He said, Pong Dog.
Let the ball sing.
Let the ball sing. The ball sing. Sorry, I thought the bull. Let the ball sing.
Yeah.
And let the ball sing he did. And it was really nice to see when he scored that try. He sat down, he got a trim.
Yep.
Greg Marju seems to be the team barber.
Of course, yeah.
Which is really important, because every team in rugby league and rugby union, to be fair, needs a team barber. And I don't know if you experienced this, Nagy, but when we were playing high school footy, we'd go on our footy trips. You'd always have one bloke who'd bring a set of clippers, and, you'd have a footy trip away over the weekend, and you'd come back and all the mums were really angry because we gave ourselves terrible haircuts.
Oh, yes.
This was around the time when you'd all cut speed stripes into your eyebrow.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, it's one of those...
I remember we went on a bus trip to Western Sydney when I was playing for some Francis Xavier's, and I can't remember who bought the clippers, but yeah, the mums were very angry when we came back.
Well, it's a very sort of soft and friendly boys way of, going out and getting tattoos. You go and get a bad haircut, your hair's going to grow back.
15, you can't get a tattoo. You get a haircut. It's going to grow back.
It's going to be exciting and fast, and it's going to be some sort of mullet. That's all the kids grow.
It was all mullet. It was all
mullet. A lot
mullet.
of bowl cuts these days. They're coming back.
That's disgusting.
A lot of trendy bowl cuts.
I don't care.
Bowl cut at the front, mullet at the back.
See, that's a good combo. But the bowl cut entirely around, you look like a monk on leave.
Well, yeah, it does.
Like Jackson Hastings, our very own.
Of course. Well, it's just a matter of getting older. When you look at the youth's hair, and you think, I don't understand what they see in that.
I don't know what young kids do.
I don't know
anymore.
what they like.
They scare me.
Yeah.
Teenagers are terrifying.
Teenagers at the train station, frightening.
I had that experience today. Actually, I went to Fassy Phone. I was walking down the stairs. There was a bunch of teenagers down there.
Ooh.
Put my headphones in very, very tight and pretended I was texting someone.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to.
I didn't want them to see how much booze I had in my backpack. They would have knifed me. Yeah. They're rough out at Fassy Phone. I don't know if you guys know. You ever been to Fassy Phone, Jouses?
Don't.
I wouldn't recommend it.
For every time we take a hat off, Lee, we have to put a hat back on to something we weren't happy with in the game. And this week it's gone to the Raiders, Sebastian Chris.
He did something very, very rude in this game. You just noticed Jouses, our squint. We just squinted angrily. He did something rude. He hurt Kalen Ponga.
He did.
Except Kalen Ponga did what he does. He didn't get hurt. He got up and he said, I'm going to screw your team.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to screw your team.
Screw him. Yeah. And I think we got an image here of how he was tackled in the air.
Rudeness.
Yeah.
It's rude is what it is.
Fell on his head and back and all those things. You think, oh, God, don't break him. He's just come good. That's what you're thinking. You think it's just like you're driving a car, you've just got it serviced and the engine light comes back on, you think, what?
And then it happened again when Kalen Ponga got a knee to the noggin.
Yeah.
Knee to the noggin. But let's talk about the Knights back five. Look, it's come up over the last couple of weeks. The Knights back five are getting better and better and better and better and better. We cannot express to you, Joust, how good the Knights back five are now.
Yeah.
I think after Penrith, safe to say best back five in the comp.
If we look at this as far as the metres gained, Kalen Ponga 203, Dane Gagai 241, Greg Mazieu.
Greg the Bus
seems to hit the 200 mark effortlessly.
Signing of the year.
He does.
Signing of the year, Greg the Bus. He's amazing. I love him so much.
He is fantastic, and we probably don't give him enough credit. But the back five seems to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting of the team, but they seem to be working well. Bradman Best in career best form. I've used that word twice because that's part of his name.
That's it. It can't be helped. It can't be helped.
Dom Young has seemed to have taken that error out of his game that was plaguing him in the early parts of his career.
I love him so much.
Yeah, and you hated him.
I hated him at the start of the season. I was so ready to hate him and write him off and say, get rid of him, send him back to Scone, play in Group 21.
Yeah.
But I've embraced him entirely. That man has proven that he's not just phoning it in this year. He could have easily done that. He could have signed for the Roosters and said, I'm just going to make up the numbers this year. But you know what he said?
He said, no.
He said, no, I'm going to become the NRL's leading try scorer.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a great yardage winger. I'm going to be a part of the best back five in the comp. And he has absolutely busted his bottom.
We've even seen the likes of Jackson Hastings and Tyson responsibly really find their sort of yin and yang as the halves combination. And when your back five is working as well as the Knights has been, I suppose they'll shine. But it's been great, and a special mention to Phoenix Crossfield Bomlin.
Oh, amazing! That man's development as an NRL starting player has just been a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
It's been a thing of beauty.
Always talk about the player's ceiling. You think, oh, this is the best they're probably going to play. They have a really good game. You think, well, that's about it. The best game of their career. They're not going to get above that. Phoenix just keeps going up and it keeps going up higher.
Up and up and up and up and up and up and up.
Expectation
Up and away.
Of away.
Well, hopefully not away. We'd like to keep him.
We want to keep him.
But I think there was a couple of other players that really stood out. You know, Adam Elliott, his work in the middle was really nice, moving the ball around a bit. He kept feeding Leo Thompson, which I thought was really sexy.
Yeah, that's good.
A couple of good runs.
Yeah.
Tyson Frizzell keeps winding the clock back every week. He winds the clock back more.
Yeah.
He's just re-signed for next year and then the 2 years following, so he's re-signed for 2024, 2025 and 26. They've got player options.
Yeah.
Lockie Fitzgibbon's in career best form, which is very classic Knights. He signs to leave and then plays better than he's ever played. Jacob Safidi was very strong in the front row without his brother.
It's going to be, look, and we've got the same team coming up next week. But of course, if we look further ahead, we've got...
Hats back on.
Oh, hats back on, of course. Yeah.
No, actually, another hats off. Sorry.
No.
Hudson Young.
Well, hats off
5
to him.
errors. I think Ricky may have... Has anyone... You people in Maitland who know Hudson, have you heard from him? Because I think Ricky may have murdered him.
He may have murdered him in cold blood with his bare hands. I'm not sure of it, but I'm quite
using his own shoelaces.
beaten to death with his own shoes, and then that's how they do it.
He
down
only
in Canberra.
wanted brown M&Ms.
It was it was tough to see, a good New South Welshman from Newcastle, but it's great to see them play really
Badly
badly against the Knights. Liam, it's a return of the pie of the week, try of the week. What do you have this week?
Oh, this is a controversial one, Joust. My pie of the week is not a pie at all, but a sausage roll.
Oh.
And now I'm going to compare this to Kalen Ponga's try from Lockie Fitzgibbon. So I went to Mr. Brisket's Smokehouse in Cardiff today.
I'll stop you there, Liam. That looks a bit burnt. Did it taste
it
burnt?
does. I will come to that in a moment. Yeah, very, very astute observation. Mr. Brisket's Smokehouse. I've heard nothing but rave reviews of their pies. And so when I got there today, I got there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They closed at 2:30. I said, I'd like a brisket pie, please. They said, we don't have any brisket pie. And I said, oh boy, doesn't that feel like Lockie Fitzgibbon breaking through the line and falling over? But then they said, but we have a brisket sausage roll. And I said, well, I'll take the brisket sausage roll. And I had one bite. And it made me think of that Lockie Fitzgibbon. He fell. He was about to go to the ground. Everything was about to fall apart. Flicked the ball up. This sausage roll was remarkable, Jousters. Yeah. It only looks that caramelized at the end because it was beautiful smoked brisket. It had that amazing smoky flavor. It was as tender a pulled meat as I've ever had. I really enjoyed it. And it really reminded me of that try. Again, when I went in, wanted something exciting.
Yeah.
Lachlan Fitzgibbon break. He fell over. Only got sausage rolls. He gave the pass. It was a brilliant sausage roll. So yeah, Jousters, that's my pie of the week. Not even a pie.
Sauce report, Liam? Were they
always 50 cents.
50 cents.
But again, with this cost of living crisis that we're going through, Squeezy Master Fit. Of course, it's Squeezy Master Fit.
Sometimes you get shit ones. Sometimes you get tubs.
Well, I don't go to those places. How are you going to pour a tub on a pie, especially on a sausage roll?
You have to dab it.
You got to dab it.
You're going to get any of the sauce out of there.
None of the sauce. Anyway, Jousters, that was my pastry meat of the week, and it was very, very good.
We're going to take a halftime break. We'll be right back for the second half of the Joust. Welcome back to the second half of the Joust. Now, Liam, the Hamilton Station Hotel is not just a place where you go to meet friends and drink beer and have delicious food, but it's also a place you can go to in Newcastle, the heart of Newcastle, to enjoy some fabulous music.
It's a well-known, place for jousters to experience as we experience today. It's a, place where you can really enjoy the fruits of one of Newcastle's finest rugby league podcasts.
Absolutely, as well as these terrific bands
and
that
us.
are coming, and us, and we're constantly there. We were there earlier tonight, but of course, not only just music on the weekends, music right through the week, from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Which harkens back to the great, pub music history of Newcastle.
Absolutely.
You don't see that often enough in many venues in Newcastle. Newcastle pubs were built on great live music.
Saturday coming up, we've got Civic, and there's also Where's Jimmy, which we've been told is a very, very good band. Please check that out. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to go to.
They're much better than their other band, Who's Jimmy.
Who's Jimmy?
We don't care for Who's Jimmy.
Or what's Jimmy, but where's Jimmy?
How is Jimmy?
Yeah. No one asked, how's Jimmy? It's an incredible place. Please go down to the Hamilton Station Hotel to check out all the great Newcastle bands, as well as the Soul Movers coming up a little bit later in the year. That's, of course...
There's a Wiggle in that band.
Murray Wiggle. Murray Wiggle is a band. The Soul Movers who were actually very, very good.
An Australian icon, I think it's safe to say. An icon of Australian music.
And by all accounts, a very, very nice fella.
Well, he's a Wiggle. Of course he's a nice fella.
And they're going straight to the Hamilton Station Hotel, the only place to watch and play music in Newcastle. But, Liam, we can't go too far away from the Newcastle Knights because
nor should we.
We've got two teams now. Two teams, the men and the ladies.
Yes.
Now, the ladies had unfortunately suffered their first... The defending premiers suffered their first loss.
'Twas an upset. Cowgirls, of course, are one of the newer teams in the comp. The Knights, not one of the newer teams, one of the well-established teams, as you mentioned, winners of the comp. But they went down 31-22, the Cowgirls.
Was this the loss they needed to have?
Well, 2 rounds in, probably not. I think the loss you need to have comes closer to the finals. But, there was a couple of players who still stood up. Tamika Upton, gave her all. She really, tried to make things happen. And then, of course, you got Reema Butler, and Caitlin Johnson tried to lead from the front, but it just wasn't good enough.
Jasmine Clydesdale clocking over 100 metres.
Yeah.
It's and also a penalty goal to Kira Dibb as well for now playing for the
former Knight, doesn't it?
Former
hurt.
Knight. See, that's what we're talking about.
Hurts more than anyone else.
Haunted by the players of the past.
But look, let's look at the stats.
There she is.
Disgusting stats.
Disgusting.
Let's be quite honest. The Knights did not perform particularly well in this
No,
game.
yeah.
I think it was a 65% completion rate. Not good. Sorry, 64. That's even worse than 65. 45% possession. You can't win with numbers like that. You just can't.
No. Hopefully, there's definitely room for improvement. A much shorter season than the fellas. Obviously, only with 10 rounds. Is that correct, boys? 10 rounds, yeah, 10-ish, 10 give or take.
Thereabouts, yeah.
But hopefully, we can see a resurgence of the Newcastle Knights there, and really take it to back to their winning ways.
I was going to say to a new level, but it's the level they've been at before, so take it back to the previous level.
The previous level.
Yeah.
It's if we look forward for the fellas as well, the other team, the Newcastle Knights fellas. This week, of course, we have a game against the Dolphins over in Perth. We've gone west. Look out, we're taking it west. I don't know why.
Taking it to the west.
I think this is a Dolphins home game that they've decided to play over there in a double header.
Well, they want to spread the good word of rugby league, and I respect that. I think the more we can take rugby league elsewhere, just not Origin. Keep Origin, New South Wales and Queensland. But the more we can take rugby league to the rest of Australia, the better. Perth always seems to get really good crowds out there because there's not much else to do, let's be quite honest.
No. They don't have a rugby union side either.
Well, they don't.
Western Force, cool.
Yeah. And when they were there, they did quite well in terms of crowd numbers because there's nothing to do there.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll get a good crowd out there in the West. I worry that this may be a Wayne Bennett revenge game, or it could be another week of the Knights putting points on a Knights outcast.
Of course.
Yeah.
One
we've got, of
Wayne
course,
Bennett.
as we discussed, we've got the Pasami Solo, Tom Starling win. We've got the Stafford Toa, David Clemmer win. We've got the other win with the two Knights players.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time we put a licking on Wayne Bennett.
It would be nice. It'd be nice as a bit of revenge. The player, obviously, the coach, that decided to walk out on the last year of the contract. Obviously, there's a lot to do with that. The Nathan Tinkler debacle.
What a cockhead he was. Nathan Tinkler.
Well, he turns out to be. Yeah. No one seemed to like him.
The original Boganer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hogan billionaire.
Yeah. Well, they used to say like the billionaire that you'd still see in the Macca's drive-through. Yeah, that was the kind of fella that he was. Really sort of.
I will not hear a word against the Macca's drive-through. That is one of the best restaurants you'll ever have.
Oh, there was actually the Boganer, the Nathan Tinkler story. Is that right? Is that what
Yeah.
It's the book. Yeah. He wrote it. Ghost written?
I doubt that because he certainly couldn't read it.
No. He certainly lost some kilos there.
He's a large man.
But if we're getting a photo up now to show to you, Justice, and that shirt is hanging on like grim death, tucked inside his trousers.
I'll tell you what, give the Victoria Cross for those buttons for staying closed. That's a very impressive effort.
It's sort of it's a bit of a haunting reminder of a time gone that we thought we would certainly be in a much stronger position.
Well, I remember when he came on board and he started owning the Knights, I said that he would be the future mayor of Newcastle and that he would be given the keys to the city. Boy, was I wrong. And I'm not wrong often, Justice. I'm not wrong often.
Yeah.
That one I was wrong on.
The rise and fall, and he certainly fell.
Yeah, it was a very, 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 very big fall.
Almost took the Newcastle Knights with him. But, however, if we look forwards, not backwards, not forwards, twirling, always twirling it. The game against the Dolphins is... we've got an unchanged side. I think.
What a great feeling!
I know that Daniel Safidi is out, and I think we've got the ladies up there, the ladies team list. But if we look, that's the one. If we got, we're coming up a team. Still with some very strong performers of the Dolphins, and the likes of Hamisal Fido, Jermaine Asako has just found this new lease on life after playing a lot of Queensland Cup last year.
Well, the thing about Jermaine Asako is he's having a career year. He had that great season where he was Rookie of the Year, and then was bad.
Yeah,
until this year. He had so many years of being very bad, but Wayne Bennett has rejuvenated him. I think he's up there with one of the leading point scorers of the year.
Yeah,
so he can kick him from anywhere. So we don't want them scoring. No. I think. One of the biggest matchups will be Valence Tafare. If we could get the team list back up there, Valence Tafare is playing in the centres. Yeah. Val the House, they call him.
But also,
he's a good, strong boy, but his lateral movement isn't great. So I think Adam O'Brien would have noticed that. And
he's coming up against Dan Gagai, I suppose,
or Dom or Bradman Best. Either way, they're two centres who can really beat him and beat him handily.
Cody Nicarima, not a noted centre.
Oh, shit. Cody Nicarine's playing centre,
Yeah, not he certainly isn't. But if we look at, Jesse Bromwich, his brother Kenneth, as well as Felice Kafusi, Mark Nichols, these types of players are up there. And obviously, Jerry Marshall-King is having a really good season. This game should not be taken lightly, despite them sitting at 13th.
I agree. It shouldn't be taken lightly. But I think from a season where nothing was expected of the Dolphins, they were expected to run dead last. They've had an amazing first half of the season. I think they're running on fumes at the moment. They've had so many injuries, suspensions, that I think at this point, they're going to kind of limp into the end of the season, which will still be an impressive effort. They'll limp in and they won't come last, which is very good. But I think Wayno, he's still got a couple of tricks in the bag that he can throw at us. But while we are a mathematical chance, trademark, I think AOB's got this team high enough, got them,
firing,
got them smoking the Joey Johns cannabis oil. That I think we should come away with the points. And again, with the way the back five are playing, no one else needs to play.
It's been
just run those back five out, and we'll win by 40.
Listening to good friends of the show over there in Bay 53, Bretto over there, we spoke about these two things happening. One, Kalen Ponga really arriving for the Newcastle Knights this year when not the necessarily a change of position with the reverse lock year, of course, when you had that's
groundbreaking coaching to take this established 5/8 and move into full. You could not make it up.
But him choosing not to play Origin has really, we've seen this resurgence of the Kalen Ponga that we all known and love.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Nagy, because we speak often of the duality of man.
Yeah.
The way that men can react to things so differently. We have Kalen Ponga, who ruled himself out of Origin. He said, I'm not going to play Origin. I've got better things to do playing for the Newcastle Knights. And he's having a career best year.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, you have Brendan Best.
Yes.
He said, I am going to play Origin. And he played amazingly. He's coming back off of that with Origin form. And so you've got two men who went for completely different kind of themes, different situations.
Yeah.
And it's launched them both into the stratosphere.
It's a wonderful thing to see. And hopefully those two men, I think, can really lead us into this finals push. And, a win over the Dolphins could see us in the 8 for not the first time of the season, because I think we're there.
No, they've been in there for quite a while for the first half of the year.
In there, in and out, and mostly out over the last thing. But we're trying something a little bit different this week with the sack, guys. With the sack, we had, traditionally we had people that would comment on our Facebook page and say, would like to post a question. But now we've gone completely audible.
Into the 20th century.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Is it the 20th? Yeah, the 20th century is the one before.
Yeah, but voice recordings on the internet have been around for decades.
It's been around for decades, yeah. So we've got a couple here from our from the sack and the audible sack. I think we have one from Andrew Richmond. Richo.
Hey guys, it's Richo here. Just got a question for you. Is it morally wrong to take the next couple games off work until the Knights get into the finals? Just asking for a guy who isn't me in case anybody from Cole's ass. Thanks.
It's a wonderful question, Rich. Obviously, a good Canadian boy, much like yourself, Liam. He also always tells a very funny story. This was 10 years ago when he told me this, but it's really stuck with me that he got beaten up by a Mountie.
Yeah, the Mounties. They are not to be fucked with, the Mounties.
That's exactly what
they're not to be fucked with. So any man who gets beaten up by them and survives is doing a wonderful job. So, Richmond, we praise you for your bravery.
Now, what do you say about taking days off work to watch the games?
I think it would be morally wrong if you didn't.
Yeah.
In fact, I have put in my unavailabilities basically for every Knights game for the rest of the year. So I shan't be working any of them. So Adam's the next question. Andrew. I say do it, buddy. Do it. Take them all off. Not only that, take the next day off so you can get pissed, have a wonderful time, and celebrate the greatest rugby league club of all and the greatest country of all that we're so glad that you're a part of. You left that socialist hellhole that is Canada to come to, the beautiful paradise of Australia. And you should be rewarded for that by getting time off to enjoy the greatest rugby league country in this country. The greatest rugby league team in this country.
Much fewer socialists here, you being one of them.
Yeah. I'm head of the socialists in Australia. I remember when I was first going to Newcastle Uni when I was a young idealistic boy with stars in my eyes and an apple in my hand. And we went to the Uni Open Day and there was the Socialist Alliance. They had their stall set up there and I went over and I spoke to them and I was like, you guys are idiots. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, they certainly go in hard, don't they?
They were not militant enough.
No, well, they all stop trains now. That's all they do. They want to stop trains.
And I use trains a lot. I love public transport. Public transport's amazing. You can go anywhere. You can get pissed. You can get on. It's easier than driving.
I think it's the coal trains they're trying to stop. But also,
they're bad. Yeah. Thanks, Gina Reinhardt.
Yeah. We got another one here from a certain someone, but they haven't listed their name. So we'll play this one.
Hi guys, John Ross here, huge fan of the show. Got a question for you. Sheridan Gallagher, she's a former Young Matildas captain, and now she's our new Dom Young in the NRLW side. What sport do you think we should go to next to find our next Sheridan Gallagher?
Look, great question, John. Thank you for writing in. I think now this is one that's come up recently. I think we need to go to some of, you talk about track and field, and usually when players cross over from track and field, they cross over from the track.
Yes.
You get the quick players, you get the endurance players,
Rather than
running.
rather than the field.
We need to go to the field.
Right.
I want to see some shot putters.
Okay, yeah,
I want
yeah.
to see some javelin throwers.
Yeah.
I want people with core strength. And so I think we go to the shot put. I think we go to the triple jump.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to have some triple jumpers because it's got power in the legs.
What's the triple
some
jump?
Long
What's
the triple jump, it's like an extended long jump.
Okay.
So in the long jump, you run, you hit the line, you leap.
Leap, yeah.
Whereas in the triple jump, there's 3 lines.
Oh, you have to jump
hop,
over all of them.
And then you hop, and then you jump. I was a phenomenal triple jumper in my day.
Oh, you gotta say,
Jai
man.
Tarima, of course, would have made a great rugby league player. He was one of the great long jumpers of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so I think, John, that's a great question. I think we need to go to the field, the track and field. Maybe netball, perhaps?
Yeah. Is that in the field? I thought it was in a court.
No, I was just, it was a tangent.
Of
to
course.
another
Oh,
sport,
sorry,
yeah.
another sport. Well, there's lots of netballers out there. There's lots of netballers. Netball World Cup's on, and we noticed
In Durban, South Africa.
Yeah, we noticed we were at the Hamilton Station Hotel earlier. We saw it on television. We thought, oh, that's an interesting thing. We haven't seen any of it. But of course, the Matildas are playing and winning.
I don't think golfers would be any good.
No, probably not.
They don't do much physical exercise.
Unless
it's
they-
just swinging a stick.
Maybe if they could bring the sticks with them, and
Ooh.
swing away. Yeah, it might
Just smash people with sticks.
be a bit of a threat. It's an interesting threat.
Yeah. Great question, John.
Yeah,
Great
thank you very much,
question.
Lord. And I think we have one also here. If you'd like to, yes, we got one.
G'day, boys. Buzz Rossfield here, Daily Telegraph. Great to hear from you again. Just wanted to, respond to, you fired one over the bows at us in the rugby league media about our handling of the discussions around the Adam O'Brien coaching situation. You've made unfounded accusations. I made a phone call into to Phil Gardner the other day. I didn't call Phil. I called the front desk at West New Lambton. They didn't answer. I think they've got caller ID. But your club's been linked to everyone from Justin Holbrook to Des Hasler to Shane Flanagan. And look, boys, where there's smoke, there's fire. And funnily enough, we're all out of matches over here. Kenty, have you got any matches? The Dominicans are, need to be lit, but anyway, look, just wanted to fire back at your accusations there, and good to hear from you boys. Buzz Rothfield, Daily Telegraph. See you later.
Thanks, Buzz. Obviously, always nice to hear from you. He's a consistent caller of the show.
He's a huge fan of the show, and we really appreciate you, Buzz.
Yeah, but at the same time, he does talk some absolute shit.
Yeah, we don't like you,
Yeah.
Buzz. Appreciate you, don't like you. The two can coexist.
He's got the capillaries bursting on every cheek, and but at the same time, it is interesting just to hear that the Adam O'Brien saga, of course, in which we introduced the show.
Great way to put it. It is a saga.
It was 4-week-long saga because they of course, him being one of them, said that we needed to sack Adam O'Brien, only for them to say we shouldn't sack Adam O'Brien. So really, I was going to say it's a victimless crime, but it's full of victims. No matter what the Newcastle Knights do,
much like Craig Gower's Thursdays,
full
of victims.
Full of victims. Yeah, it's a time where you have to look at it and think, well, if we did everything that they said, Adam O'Brien would already be sacked.
So thanks, Buzz.
Thanks,
but
Buzz.
also not thanks.
Also,
what's the opposite of thanks?
Piss
Fuck off. Oh, sorry. Yours was much better.
That's
answer,
right.
mate.
It's a family show.
It's a family show. Apologies, Jousters and your children.
We might have one more caller there, I think, somewhere in the midst of the internet ether.
Hello, boys. Long-time listener of the show, first-time caller. I've just got a two-part question. The first is directed at Mr. Liam McNeil. After our sterling effort over the Raiders on the weekend, I just want to know which battle from World War II would you compare it to and why? And for Naki, I'd like to know, what is your perfect Sunday evening? Thank you, boys.
It's a very interesting question. Thank you very much for the caller. It's
What an oddly specific question. It's like he may have crafted his question to something I know a fair bit about.
Yes, absolutely.
Have you got 3 guesses, Nagy? Which battle am I going to compare it to?
Second World War. I
Wrong.
don't know. No.
Battle of Midway, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need to look at the Battle of Midway and compare it to this game because we come into the game, 2 teams who are sort of one on the way, way down, one on the way up. Of course, the Imperial Japanese Navy were sort of holding their own.
Yeah.
In the first half of the war,
Famously.
first half of the season, as the Canberra Raiders were. The Knights were the plucky upstarts who are the U.S. Navy. And the funny thing about the Battle of Midway was that it was one of the first battles where it was fought purely by aircraft.
In the air,
so it was fought at very long range, which a lot of the tries that you saw from the Newcastle Knights came from long range. And, barely did the ships sight each other, in fact.
Of course.
And so I think we compare it to the Battle of Midway in that the 2 teams... The Japanese Navy, Imperial, were on the way down. The U.S. Navy were on the way up. They were about level at the time, and the U.S. Navy just said, go away, Ricky Stewart. And they bombed the hell out of Ricky Stewart's boys. And, much like the movie with Nicolas Cage.
Yes, of course.
Oh, no, that was Battleship. Sorry,
That was Battleship.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I think that's a great question. I really appreciate you asking that. But I think the Battle of Midway is the one that I would compare it the most to, in that it was a storming victory to the, the good guys.
Yes.
The good guys in the Newcastle Knights against the bad guys. The bad guys that were the Canberra Raiders.
And for me, my perfect Sunday evening would have to involve watching the NRL, hopefully a Newcastle Knights game, but we rarely get the telly game.
I was really hoping you'd say watching the movie Midway with me.
Well,
Look, I still think that is not even the best movie about the Pacific Theatre of World War II.
What is it?
Tora, Tora, Tora.
Yeah, of course.
You're kidding. Some people would say Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, but I think, Roger Ebert summed it up best when he said that Pearl Harbor is a 3-hour movie.
Yes.
No, he said it was a 2-hour movie crammed into 3 hours about a love triangle that was inconveniently broken up by an attack on a Hawaiian naval base.
I did always get annoyed at the Pearl Harbor film where Ben Affleck, of course, goes across because he just desperately wants to fight. You see,
he did want to fight,
so he goes across and fights and flies the planes for the RAF.
Well, of course, that was very historically accurate in the early days of World War II when the US was quite neutral, of course, by policy and by theory.
Yes,
there was actually squadrons within the RAF called the Eagle Squadrons, and the Eagle Squadrons were made up of American pilots who wanted to fight, of course. Wanted to defend democracy.
Yeah.
And so they went to England, they fought with the RAF, and they had a massive contribution to the early days of World War II.
Very, very typical British guy. He's like, I tell you, he's like, if there's more people like you out there, we'll win this war. The Nazis should. And I'm like, come on, just get the fuck off it. Really just what? And also, not a Polish pilot in sight.
No, and the Poles were, again, the Eagle Squadrons contributed a lot, but the Poles and the Free French, it was more than just the Americans. Michael Bay.
Yeah. Lay off the
Don't
Americans.
you dare touch history again. Stick to Armageddon. Stick to Transformers, but leave history alone.
Speaking of Armageddon, if you like us, you can find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube.
Snapchat.
Not Snapchat. Cause
Stop asking us.
It was because it's the Instagram one. I don't have it. Anyway. All those social pipes. It's been a pleasure.
Should we get a TikTok?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. We can be influencers.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're going to come to you next week with, I was going to say unprecedented, but it's pretty much precedented. 5 wins in a row. We sometimes do this.
I was worried when you said hopefully. Are we getting cancelled? Are you leaving? No. Oh,
I'm leaving. It's a huge announcement. I'm leaving. I'm leaving the show. Thanks for watching us again, Justice. We'll catch you again next week.